Hey guys, it's Rachel here from Rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I'm going to be showing you another nautical stamp that we're going to be using the retiring bird builder punch and the hardwood background stamp to make. What we're going to do is make a buoy, like a lifeguard buoy, and we're going to make a seagull, and we're going to make a piling, which is part of a pier that birds tend to hang out on. So let me show you how to get started. We're going to use our hardwood background stamp. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of Very Vanilla, and we're going to ink this up, and we're going to put our piece of Very Vanilla down onto this cardstock. As you can see, that is my goof piece. So we're going to just use a piece of scrap paper and rub onto here. Usually I find that if you have a really large background stamp, laying it down and putting the paper onto it tends to ink it up a little bit better. So that looks really nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our sponge and we're going to just, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this first because I only want a little piece. And that way we know exactly where we're going to trim. So I'm going to use this nice piece that has the knot in it. So I'm just going to cut right along the line, just like so. And I'm going to cut one more straight because we're going to make a little bit of a, I don't even know what you want to call it, a little bit of something. You'll see in a minute. So we're going to sponge the edge of this as well, just to give it a little bit more dimension. Okay, and then I'm going to cut just kind of a little triangle of a piece off of this and sponge the edge of this as well. This is a card idea I saw on Pinterest, which is pretty cool. And I'm really bummed that they're retiring this bird builder punch because this is one of my favorites. First of all, you can make so many different birds on it, but you can make so many different things out of the bird builder punch. Yeah, it's just sad. It's always exciting when new things come along, but at the same time, it's really sad because you're giving them up at the expense of something else. So anyway, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to use a piece of Soft Sky, which I have cut at 4.5 by 11, scored at 5.5. So that's a piece of Soft Sky. And then I have a piece of watercolor paper cut at 4 by 5.25. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to get out our Aqua Painter. Where the heck is it? There it is. And we're going to just do a little bit of painting before we put this on. So I'm going to use a little bit of So Saffron. And you just want to squeeze the ink pad so you make a little pool of ink. And if you don't like the pool you get, you can also add a little bit of your refill just to give yourself a little bit more color. Okay, and then we're also going to use, let's see, crumb cake. Yeah, I'll use crumb cake. Tip Top Taupe is just a little bit dark. A little bit of crumb cake, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add a little bit of water to that crumb cake, just because I want it a little bit more diluted. And I want to clean that off. You also want to make sure you have a paper towel handy so you can clean off the ink in between. And for the final color, I guess I'll stick with Soft Sky. So we're going to just do the same thing again. Just squeeze that. Yeah, let me just add a teeny bit more to this. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is first we're going to do our sky. So some people do like to wet this ahead of time, just your personal preference. I'm not going to. I'm just going to kind of dilute this ink a little bit. And I'm going to just put a little sky up here. Watercoloring is really nice because even if you're not a fantastic artiste, it is very forgiving. Okay, so there's a little bit of that. That's just the blue. The only thing you might want to do in between this is you could use your heat tool just to dry up your ink a little bit. That way your colors don't bleed. And that, again, is just personal preference. I'm going to do a little bit of, just a teeny bit of yellow in the sky. Not really like a setting sun, but just like that little hue of sunshine. Okay, same thing again. I'm just going to run my heat tool. Alright, and let me just clean my brush off once more. And now I'm going to finish up with the crumb cake. Oh, oopsie. And you know what? I think I need a little bit more crumb cake in here. I think I diluted this just a, oh geez, just a teeny bit too much. Whoa, that's a lot. Hold on, don't worry, we'll get that back onto the ink pad. Just a really light brush once we get down here to the bottom. Okay, so one more time I'm going to use my, oh see, what does that drop off? Brown. Okay, here's what we're going to do for that one. We're going to dab it off with our paper towel, clean off our brush, and then see if we can just smooth it right out. Barely even notice it now. I'm going to just dry the bottom off with my heat gun. Even if it really bothers you, which truly it's not bothering me, but some people it might bother, just go back over with a little bit more blue. Right like that. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to use our heat gun one more time. I just want to make sure this is nice and dry before we put our bird down. And again, so what I did is I had that big pile of ink here, and just so not to waste it, what I did is I just did as if I was re-inking, and it kind of just sucks the ink back into the ink pad. So there you go. You didn't even lose any ink on that one. So same thing on this one. You just squeeze them, squeeze them together, and it kind of sucks the ink back into the pad. So that way you don't feel like you're wasting your ink. Alright, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to mount this onto the piece of soft sky. So I'm going to just use some Snail for that. And I'm going to stick that on there. Okay, and then what we're going to do, whoopsie, we'll fix that one in a second. What we're going to do is we're going to eyeball our pier before we attach it, or piling I should say. So that is obviously way too long, so we're going to put it maybe, that looks pretty good, right about there. So just trim that straight across, and then I'm going to just go with my sponge I still have sitting here and just touch it up with a little bit of brown. And then the other thing I'm going to do is just give it a little bit of a trim off. Some pilings are straight, some are not, just depends on what you want yours to look like. So we're going to put ours right like that. I think that should fit. Yeah, that's not too low. So what I want to show you is how to make this life buoy. So what I did was I kind of had to fool around with this to find out one that I liked the best. So what I did is I took a piece of Cherry Cobbler. You can do whatever ink you like. And I used the one, I think I decided on the 1 3/4 inch punch. So first what I did is I punched this. Well, let me just tell you, that doesn't work. Because you can't really get to the middle of it. The best way to do it is I took a 1 inch punch, 1 inch circle punch, and I kind of punched in far enough that I thought I could get a nice ring around it. So I punched out a circle, which you could use for something else. And then I went back with my 1 3/4 inch punch, and I just centered it around the ring like that. So I could find that I had that pretty much in the center. And then I punched it. So then after that, you have your nice ring. And the other thing I did was, I did this with some pistachio pudding, thick baker's twine that I got off of the clearance rack. So you could either use that, or you could use, where did I do with my bin of thread? Here it is, ribbon, or everything, if you can see, there's a little bit of everything in there, is you could use either the thin baker's twine, you could use, whoopsie, white linen thread. Where is my thin thread? How can I find it? Can't imagine why I can't find it in that cluster of a mess. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I did with the pistachio pudding. So what I did was, it's best too if you do this if you have your little piece of silicone mat, is I put some adhesive, what I thought was kind of on the 4 sides, and then I took a piece of baker's twine that I cut off. And you kind of have to fool around with the sizing of what you think you need, because the first time I did it, I made it a lot longer than I thought. So I hooked it to the back, and then you just wrap it around. I did keep it in a straight line. It wasn't necessarily tight, but I kept it in a straight line. And then when I got it where I thought I wanted it, I pushed it so it was tight. And I just wrapped this over one time, kind of sideways. It really, I don't know. I think it makes it look slightly more authentic, because it's not neat, because most things when it comes to the world of boating and water are not neat and tidy and clean. And then I just put a glue dot right on the back here. So I stuck a glue dot to the back of it, and then I fastened my piece. So I just did that all the way around. So baker's twine, 4 different spots. That's what I did there. Except this one, my glue dot is falling off. Let me grab another one. Okay. And I hooked that. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find where I like this. I'm going to set that there. And I'm going to put this little piece that we cut out across, kind of like it's holding it onto there. That makes visual sense. Now you do have to pop this up on a dimensional because of the thick baker's twine. So I'm going to put 4 dimensionals on the back of this. I guess you don't really have to do 4, but yeah. I'm actually going to use the pieces of the dimensional. So I'm going to use 4 little of the edge pieces to make it fit better. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to pull those off. And I'm going to put a little bit of snail onto my piling. Set that right about, I'm going to put it on the bottom so it matches up with the bottom of it. Right about there. We'll put our life buoy onto that. And then I'm going to put a little, one more little piece of a dimensional onto this little piece, like this little tab piece that's holding it on. Let's see if I can fit that on there without it showing. Okay. Kind of just like it's holding it on there. Scoot that over a little bit. And I'm just going to give this a teeny nip so it's not hanging over. There you go. So like it's holding it in place. And then we're going to put our bird. Now you could do your bird either direction, that way or that way. You could give him little feet if you want it to be like he's standing there, but I'm going to just put him directly on. I'm not going to put a dimensional on him. Just like so. little feet there. And then what you can do is you can do your greeting. I'm actually going to use, now earlier I did another card with two other punches, I should say, that are retiring soon, which are the word window punch. That's what I knocked off of here earlier. The word window punch and the modern label punch. These are both also retiring. So I'm going to just stamp something with the modern label punch, and I'm going to adhere it directly there. Another set that I have that is going away as well from the retirement list is the Teeny Tiny Wishes. Really, really, really useful set if there's something you like out here. This one has something for every holiday, so definitely a really versatile set. I'm going to use Early Espresso again for this one. And we'll just use a little piece of Whisper White. Not Whisper White, sorry, Very Vanilla. So we'll do this as Happy Retirement. Looks like a nice retirement card. We're just going to punch this out with the modern label punch. Okay, and a little bit of Snail. Put this one right on here. Pretty card. Turned out really, really, really nice. Nicer than I expected it to. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to either shoot me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. Excuse me, rachthestamper@gmail.com. You can leave me a comment, and I can certainly get back to you as well at rachthestamper.wordpress.com. If you'd like to get any of these items before they disappear, a lot of the stamp sets are the only things that kind of hang around because they do still make them for a little while. But all of the accessories, the punches and everything, the buttons, all that kind of stuff goes. First come, first serve. Whatever they have is all that they have. So if there's something that you're dying to have, you better get it before it's gone, because then you're going to be paying a astronomical amount if you end up buying it on eBay after the fact, and who wants to do that? So this is a really great set to have, especially this bird builder punch. You can use it for so many different things, so many different kinds of birds that you can make with it. I mean, really, the ideas are endless. If you just look it up on Pinterest, you would find 1,000,001 ideas. But if you want to get this stuff, get to my online store, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Questions, comments, please leave me an email. I'd love to be your demonstrator if you don't have one already. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you love this card.